This is 365 Sports, powered by Sikkim365.com. Welcome to the Triple Option. Here's your host, Paul Catalina.
I am really glad that we did not go to video 5 seconds ago.
I thought you stifled a sneeze.
No.
I was super impressed because
No.
I've never been able to do that. Really.
No, I'm absolutely not able to do that at all. I don't know how many humans actually are. You'd be in the circus if you were. No, what happened to me was we have had gnats in this place for 2 weeks now, maybe a little bit more. But like we're constantly fighting a battle. The exterminator's been here twice, treating the drains, and literally as the open was winding up, a gnat flew into my nose. And
you gave one of these.
Yeah, that's how I got it out, I guess.
Did you catch it?
I don't know if I caught it, but he's not in there now. Or if he is,
that'd be pretty awesome if you caught it.
He's just chilling. He just laid down. So, no, I don't think I caught it.
Yeah, if he got in there, he's kind of like a Mucinex villain now.
Yeah, that's exactly what he is.
Causing havoc in your nose.
Yeah, absolutely. So, actually.
Is he in your mouth?
He might have been.
Oh, no. Get the Topo Chico. That's their weakness.
God, that's terrible. Oh, I mean, the Topo Chico's fine, but the
gnat,
the gnat's terrible. I'm Paul. He's Stephen. It's Wednesday. This is the Triple Option, and what an awful way to start a show. But literally, it was 5 seconds. Like, people have been watching me. Mm-hmm. Like, oh, my God, is Paul having a stroke? Which, I don't want anybody to think that's going on. So,
yeah, you might have gone viral. So I guess you could argue it should have happened.
Look, one of my biggest fears in life is being the dude on the news when the lizard jumped on him and being a meme.
Yeah, I get that.
I don't want to be a meme unless it's a cool meme. But I don't is this a look? Give me a one shot here, Jack. Or right here. Is this a face that is a cool meme? It's not. It's just not. I know.
Somebody gift that, please.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a. I mean, this is the best I could. It'd be like, that's the best. You'd be like, oh, look, that's a shrug emoji guy. That's all I could do right there. I can't. Mm-hmm. I'm not I'm not gonna have one of these cool Ryan Gosling gifs.
That's a fascinating thing about our world now is people get famous for nothing really.
Yeah.
Like they just do something weird and then, are we allowed to talk about the Hawk Tuah girl?
Yeah, we can absolutely talk about Hawk Tuah.
Okay, so Hawk Tuah girl she doesn't even do an interview. It's like a man on the street thing.
10 seconds.
10 seconds. Now she has a podcast.
Yeah.
And it's she actually seems like a funny person, so it kind of makes sense. Or this is a long time ago now, but you remember that lady that got a Chewbacca mask at Kohl's?
Yeah.
And just couldn't stop laughing?
Yeah.
And people were like, oh, the joy in this woman's heart.
Yeah.
And then, everybody just overdid it. Some college was like, you can have free tuition to our school. And then it was like, well, she's famous for nothing. She doesn't have a skill.
Yeah.
But suddenly she's in the public eye. So I get that. The idea of, you're a meme.
By the way, that's totally a Greendale thing to do. From Community.
Yeah, for sure.
We've got the Chewbacca mask girl.
She's enrolling in Psychology 101 or whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah, we're paying for her class.
Yeah, she's perfect for the Greendale human beings. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So I get that fear. I have that too. Or just saying, we're in a world where we're talking all the time in broadcasting. I think about, I'll say something and I think, man, if somebody just clips that 2 or 3 seconds and just put it out online and it caught on somehow, then I sound like an idiot.
Well, so I'm very glad that this didn't happen. Now, I'm sure the footage exists somewhere in the archive at KWTX, but 10 years ago, maybe a little less, but I was doing we were promoting an improv show, and I went to do the morning show with the rest of the group, and we were doing a game, really simple one, called What Are You Doing, which I hate. But I guess whoever the person was in front of me had me jumping up and down or skipping or something really dainty, because I guess it was funny. I mean, ostensibly it probably was pretty funny, but I had before, I told everybody listen, I don't want to be the lizard guy. Like, we don't want to be the lizard guy. Like, morning show news is where this shit happens, okay? Like, this is where it happens. Like, that is absolutely how you get there. I mean, I have nothing but respect for morning show news people because
tough gig, man.
Like, half of them don't get in to get the morning show. Like, some of them do. Some of them want to be like, oh my gosh, we're making English muffins this morning with our favorite English muffin.
Yep. You wake up at 3 a.m. and you just like read off old people's birthdays.
Yeah. I mean, some of them like that. Now, a lot of them get into the news because they want to report the news. Like, really serious news out of Sacramento right now is as Governor Newsom has signed a bill banning this, like that's what they want to report. And that's very noble, but it's also very noble. And I'll tell you, as hard as it is to get up in the morning and have to do news, but then intersperse that with like, Brad Pitt has a favorite pancake recipe. His 4th grade teacher from Missouri is here with us to share how she's the one who gave it to him. Like, that's really hard.
It is hard.
Yeah.
You're doing like the trivia question of the day or whatever. It's
Yeah,
a tough
yeah.
deal. I remember that instance though, because I was Emory. I was an intern when you did this. And that day, I think you make the call, you did it solo. So you were talking about that.
Yeah.
You're jumping up and down.
Yeah. I was like, I'm just terrified I'm going to be a meme. And I can only thank whatever friends I did have there at KWTX at the time that
They just
buried the footage.
They burned the tapes.
That buried the footage. Like all the behind the scenes stuff of Trump at The Apprentice. Like, it's just never going to come out.
It's gone.
It's just gone.
Magically deleted.
It's never going to come out. You're never going to see it no matter how bad you may want to. But yeah, I was terrified, like literally for a month. I just kept waiting for, and the thing is like most of my friends in the sports department would have totally like done it, but I guess they were just too busy to go back and get it. And then like once like a week or two goes by, like
it's too late.
There's too much stuff. They've got hours and hours of programming that they have to go through and, like find it, like which day was it that they were there? Like, was it Wednesday? Was it Tuesday? Who knows, but I still live in fear of becoming a meme and not a cool one. I'm not going to be there's very little chance I'm going to be like that meme, right? I'm not going to be that guy. So
I get that, man. Yeah.
I don't want to be remembered that way.
You don't want to live in infamy as like a reaction gif.
No, I don't. Now, look, if there's money in it, I guess I couldn't say no to it. I'd have to lean in.
I don't think you can really monetize it, though. You just end up like as somebody's IP.
Yeah, just like I'd wind up, selling T-shirts with my likeness on it.
Yes.
Like, here we go. That would be the thing. Like, you can buy the T-shirt of the meme, and then, occasionally I'd be like walking through the mall and be like, hey, reaction guy. And then I'd be like, all right, yeah, sure.
Come take a picture. Yeah. I'll do the face.
I'd get on, I need to get on Cameo.
Yeah. Just giving stern looks to people or whatever.
Happy birthday, Duncan. Yay.
Well, I'm glad we got a solid business plan if it does happen now.
Yeah. Oh, you don't want to hear my sports talk, which is what my career is. You just want the meme.
Just want me to make the faces. Okay.
Okay, all right. We'll do birthday announcements for $25. Duncan, congratulations on your bat mitzvah or bar mitzvah. Baruch atah, Eloheinu. That's what I would do. So I want to talk Big 12 with you, Stephen, today. We have a Cowboys topic we're going to get to before the wheel.
Okay.
And there are two things that happened this week that have given me great pause about the future and the present of the Cowboys. One of them is Derrick Henry at 30 years old had an 81-yard run. And that also gave me pause last week when he had like a 50-yard run. And so on and so on. He's leading the league in rushing. And then today, the Chiefs, the two-time defending Super Bowl champions, acquired DeAndre Hopkins from the Titans.
It can be done, yeah.
It can be done. And I'm just starting to wonder, like, what league are the Cowboys playing in compared to everybody else? Like, what rules does Jerry think applies to them that the Chiefs don't have to follow?
Right.
Like, what's that? That's my question. Like, what is over his head when you...
Well, and for an organization that he has said, like, we don't do rebuilding years, right? Like, that's not in our DNA. We're spending too many resources. It seems like they're firmly in the middle of one. But the problem is they've committed money to people, so they're not really rebuilding. They're just kind of in some weird flux right now.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's tough, Paul.
Yeah, very tough. Very, very tough. So we'll talk about that in a minute. But, Stephen, you're a TCU fan. You are a TCU alum. You do a TCU podcast, Locked On Horned Frogs, which I will tell you, if I leave my YouTube logged in, is always the first thing that pops up after our show on my YouTube.
Oh, well, thank you, Paul.
Yes, it's right
That's
there.
kind of you.
And I watch them because I feel like you're one of my proteges. I don't think I hope you don't slough at that term.
No, that's fine. That's accurate. Yeah.
Yeah. So one of the people I'm very proud of. So I watch your podcast, and I'm curious in your thoughts on a 10-7 win, which is like not what TCU does.
No,
I mean, you'll take it.
Yeah,
you'll take
sure.
it. But 10-7 win, and then what that game means, if anything, to the future of this team.
Well, it was an impressive performance defensively. I mean, I think we can get the context out of the way here. Isaac Wilson and this Utah offense is struggling at the moment. Their OC, I guess, had a self-realization moment after they got shut down by TCU, or Kyle Whittingham had a conversation and they moved on from Andy Ludwig. So there's some transition happening there. I think they caught Utah at the right time. I don't know what it means moving forward. I don't think it means a whole lot as far as I don't feel coming away from this game they're going to go on some sort of run. I think defensively they have shown an ability, if a team struggles to pass the ball and they can commit, extra defenders in the run game without getting burned in the back end. And in the case of Utah and Stanford, like those two teams could not make them pay by having extra blitzers, having more people in the box, then they can have success. A more balanced offense, like I think they'll see this week against Texas Tech, has really kind of done what they wanted against the TCU defense so far this season. And offensively, I mean, the Kendall Browse experience is very interesting. You look at the numbers, like they had over 400 yards of total offense Saturday night. They had a fumble in the red zone. They had a blocked kick in the red zone where they didn't score a touchdown. They had another instance in the second half where they got inside the 10, couldn't come away with points. They don't run the ball well. Teams, I think good defenses are keen on the fact that, hey, we can, allocate more resources to the passing game, put pressure on Josh Hoover, and slow this down enough that they're not going to put together drives. They're also weirdly, one thing that this offense seems to miss that has been a calling card in his past, they don't get a lot of explosive plays. Like they're not taking deep shots down the field. They're not getting those pop plays in the passing game where guys are running wide open. So they're just kind of inefficient, even though they're able to move in between the 20s. So I still feel like this is a group that if they get to 6 or 7 wins, that's probably their ceiling. And you give the coaching staff another year to try to build on it. But I didn't come away like, oh, man, they've fixed a lot of their issues. I will say the effort was really good. And I didn't know what that was going to look like coming off a loss to Houston. And I at least got the impression that Sonny hasn't lost the locker room, which I think means something. And the other thing about the Big 12 is it feels like every week there's a competitive one-score game. So you're going to have chances if you can get out of your own way.
Yeah. It's such a bizarre thing for TCU. Like none of this makes any sense to me because the Briles offense is built around the run, not the pass, and they can't run. And they probably do have a bit of a talent issue. I really like Jack Besh at wide receiver, but he's not a he's a chain mover, but he's not a
game breaker.
He's not a splash play guy. I think he's an NFL player. I really do. I just don't think he's going to be that guy who's, he's not Quentin Johnston, that guy. That's not who he is. And they don't have that guy. J.P. Richardson, again, a guy who can get you first downs, but, baby Bucky, he is not.
Right.
So, I know he is technically baby Bucky, but, he's not.
As a football player.
Yeah, as a football player. Bucky Richardson was, a battering ram and a big play guy. Mm-hmm. That's not what JP is at all. So, I don't know. It's interesting to see, and I think it's going to be interesting to watch. And watching through the lens of Baylor in particular, who has TCU next week, Baylor's schedule is the walk through, all these teams meeting each other, during the season of the bottom of the Big 12 is Baylor's schedule right now. And they have TCU next week. They have Oklahoma State this week. And who is going to come out of this little rung of mediocrity feeling good about themselves?
Right.
I think Baylor has the best shot to do that, and TCU probably right with them. I think when you look at Kansas, West Virginia, Houston, and Oklahoma State, probably not. Things have just not gone well at all at times for them this year, particularly in the moment. TCU has kind of traded wins and losses, which I think gives them a little bit more confidence than the rest of them. But looking at this bottom part of the Big 12, I wonder who's going to come out of this optimistic.
Let me ask you this, because I talked about the fumble in the red zone. When you look at teams that just continually beat themselves, because I think that's TCU, it's kind of Jekyll and Hyde every week. Whatever the opposite of complimentary football is what they play. So if there's a week where the defense is humming, then the offense struggles to score. When the offense has been on, the defense has struggled to hold up their end of the bargain. But the turnovers and the penalties, I know players have to execute and make plays, but if it's a continual problem, how much of that do you typically put on a coaching staff? Because we're going on 7 weeks now of just boneheaded mistakes. And I know players have to make the plays, but I don't know what the disconnect is between fundamentally sound ball and then what they're putting out there on a weekly basis. And maybe it's just talent deficiency, but it doesn't look like a well-coached team right now.
No. What are your thoughts on the rest of that, the dregs, we'll call them right now, of the Big 12?
Baylor, I think, is in a good spot if they can kind of go on a run here. I was impressed with what they did against Tech, and I feel like, honestly, the Sawyer Robertson aspect of the season might be the biggest bright spot and reason for optimism. Kansas, that was a nice win, but I feel like it's not going to change sort of their outlook. Houston, I think, is dealing with a talent problem. And then TCU, I think they could individually. I think they could win every game left on their schedule. I don't feel like they can play at a high enough level to actually do it week to week. So I believe you're probably looking at a team that finishes around 500 when it's all said and done. But in Oklahoma State, I think this week will be telling in Waco. It feels like a group that is kind of on quit watch. You kind of gave everything you had. That BYU game sort of felt like all right, last stand. This is our opportunity to show that we still have a good team and we are a group that can turn this around. You had a new quarterback in Garrett Rangel that was playing well. He gets hurt. You lose on just an insane play on the road. And now it's okay, you kind of rallied the troops and did all this and you still didn't get the result you wanted. Are they able to look at that and say, we just got to keep, this was a better process and we just got to keep going down this path? Or they look at it and say, well, why the heck are we doing this if it's not going to lead to wins, right? Yeah. So that's the big crossroads they're at right now.
My big question about Mike Gundy is how much longer does he want to do this?
Mm-hmm.
Because he's very begrudgingly, he's gone along with it. He's not been full Dabo, where Dabo's going to fight his way through to the other side on it. And I think Dabo's plan, especially I heard him say some things today, is once it all gets fixed, I won't have to worry about the transfer portal because maybe it won't be such a big deal, because, we'll have contracts with these players. They won't want to leave, all those kind of things. And maybe he's right. But Mike Gundy, has, really kind of sounded the alarm about, hey, we lost these players in the portal because we didn't have the budget for them. You know, I'd like to, but it's just the nature of how it is. And it's kind of wild to me that, you know, there was a time where maybe you just go to T-Boone and be like, hey, we don't need any more facilities. We need these guys. And he's no longer with us, obviously, right. So they don't have that. A place like Oklahoma State is only going to have one T-Boone, unlike Texas, who has like an A&M and schools like that who have like all the rest of them. You know, so it's different. You know, Barry Switzer's even saying, like, I don't know if we can compete with Texas NIL-wise, which I find somewhat laughable, but, I mean, maybe he's right. I mean, he would kind of know, right? Sure. You know, but.
The weird thing about Mike, too, is there was a time where Mike Gundy was – I mean, would you say he was a hot coach on the market, Paul, or was he just the guy that, like, he definitely loved a good interview? Like, he was kind of like, if you guys got some shrimp cocktail and I can – go to a new city for a couple days or a day.
I think he and his agent knew how to make Oklahoma State scared, because outside of him and, like, you know, like a couple coaches in their history, everybody else is springboarded there. Mm-hmm. Les Miles, Jimmy Johnson, like, you know. Now, granted, he took over after Les Miles, and there hasn't been another coach there since then. But, you know, that, like, before Les Miles, it was like either a failure of a coach or a guy who, like Jimmy Johnson, springboarded from Oklahoma State to Miami and then springboarded from Miami to the Cowboys, you know? So, like, I think that's what they're afraid of, and they finally just didn't have it, and they had a guy who wanted to be there, it's his alma mater. You know, he, you know, doesn't want to leave. Like, I have a feeling that Mike Gundy, like, doesn't like road trips because it's too far away from, you know, the Circle K he likes, you know, like
they don't have that crisp Coke that he likes out of the Polar Pop machine.
Yeah, like this is the one that's good. I like this is, you know, I'd love to go fishing on a different lake, but not all day. Like, you know, like all day is like, that's when I go to Lake Texoma. That's good to my place there. I like here. This is where I like. But he has very successfully, particularly when Arkansas is open, he's been able to use that for a raise a few times, because Arkansas has been a revolving door of coaches who have failed. Mm-hmm. So because of that, Mike Gundy's been able to be like, that wouldn't be so bad, you know.
Call the hogs and such, you know.
They got hills, you know. It's a little greener over there. Heard the barbecue's pretty good. You know, going to give me free OAN on the cable, so I think I'm all right. Let's go do this. And then they're like, whoa. We'll give you OAN and Newsmax. And he's like, all right. SEC, kiss my butt, right? So
that reminds me, the last time I was traveling somewhere, I saw a little hotel in North Texas that was advertising free HBO. And I was like, is that still moving the needle in this day and age? Are people still pulling off the road? Like, oh, shoot.
Yeah. Oh, they had HBO. I don't have HBO at home.
Yeah, I don't have that.
So we better go there. Like, every hotel has, although sometimes I'm surprised they don't have HBO, they have Showtime. And I'm like,
I know.
I mean, thanks for having a premium channel, but
still.
Also, I can stream. So I can, like, now, like, TVs, and this is total non sequitur, but I've done it when I've been on, like, longer vacations, and, like, we were in Palm Springs. You know, you're outside the heat. Like, you got to come in and do something. Like, you got to rest because she just takes it out of you. So, yeah, you know, Amanda and I would, you know, sit on the couch and, you know, stream Netflix to the TV. You just, you know, you put your phone to it, you connect your device, and
there you go.
You know, watch The Tourist. So,
right.
So we did. Then, you know, got ready, went to dinner. It was nice. Yeah. I can't be at the pool 12 hours a day.
You got to take some breaks in between.
Got about in Palm Springs in the summertime, you got about 6 hours in your max before you're like, it is very hot. And
I'm a little dehydrated.
Yeah. I'm also a little dehydrated because this guy keeps coming around going, hey, buddy, another one of those? And I go, you know it, Rob. You know it. Oh, Rob.
Classic Rob.
Thanks, man.
Such a nice guy.
Every day he's coming around. And then at the end of this, he gives me a bill that I I'm pretty sure is $18 and not $180. I'm just, it's just hot and I'm a little drunk.
Rob, I thought we were cool. How'd we get here, bud?
How many nachos can you eat, sir? What? I mean, I have my morning nachos and my mid-afternoon nachos and then my right before the room nachos. Yeah. What do we, I mean.
There's nothing weird about this.
There's nothing weird about it. I mean, yes, and there were some chicken fingers in the middle, but you have good chicken fingers. Rob, get with it. So when we come back, a short little segment on, Steve and I are both Cowboy fans, on Jerry Jones and what world are the Cowboys living in? Mm-hmm. And how do they not? Here's my question. They have not reacted to any of the goings-on around them with any kind of change other than firing or hiring a head coach. But for now, 20 years, like no matter what the teams around them are doing, they don't respond in kind very often. The Amari Cooper trade is the last one I can think of that they did that. And it worked out. And that's the reason I'm like, well, you know that one worked. Like, yes, Roy Williams and Joey Galloway didn't work, but Amari Cooper worked.
That one did, yeah.
Joey Galloway probably would have worked had he not torn his ACL in the second game he played that first year. Roy Williams, okay, there were two wide receivers on the trade market. There was Roy Williams and Anquan Bolton, and you picked the guy who was a little flashier as opposed to the guy who was actually really good. Mm-hmm. So when we come back, we'll talk about that. And then the Wednesday Wheel, where we're going to name celebrity stadiums.
That's right.
This is 365 Sports.
This is 365 Sports, powered by Sikkim365.com. Welcome to the Triple Option. Here's your host, Paul Catalina.
Hello. Welcome in to the Triple Option on 365 Sports. I'm Paul. He's Stephen. No bugs in my nose and or mouth on this
Positive
transition.
Start.
So
Yep.
There we go. We are fine. There's like fruit fly traps like all over this place. If you look in the bottles, it's a graveyard. I've got Zevos. I'm pouring vinegar in drains. I've got exterminators coming. But right now, the Nats are winning.
Yeah, this is like Caddyshack.
They're organized. They've
got a plan. They're coming at you.
They've got a plan. We hit them hard, and they're hitting back. So there's only like 6 of us, and there's billions of them. So
yeah, I might need to do like a prayer walk around here before I leave or something.
yeah, I'm gonna have a shaman come in.
Just bring Kyrie Irving down, just so you can do some
90 miles away.
Yeah, incense or whatever he was. I'll just in the arena.
I'll just tell him that it was caused by the COVID vaccine, and he'll run down here and fix it right up. So. Zachary Levi's that way, too, former star of Chuck and Shazam. He's in Austin now, so we can get him up here and,
get it all out of here.
Get all the
bad vibes and Nats out of here.
Yeah, exactly. So, Stephen, I don't take a lot of time to talk about the NFL on this show, although I'd like to. And I feel, especially when you come to Jerry Jones topics, they can get kind of on a hamster wheel of just going around and around and around and around and never going anywhere. So my question to you is, in light of like other teams, like look, the Bills made a trade for Amari Cooper. The Jets made a trade for Devontae Adams. And the Jets made a trade for Devontae Adams because their petulant, childlike quarterback decided that I want my friend here. I'm not going to be happy unless my friend is here. And, then he called his friend and was like, hey, you should come here. And his friend's like, yeah, I like you. And then he's like, and his friend never once said, aren't you guys the same record as the crap team I'm on right now? Yeah, but that's because you're not here. Okay, I'll be there. And then it's like, oh, no, it kind of sucks here.
Just needed a wide receiver. That's all they needed.
Yeah. They need a quarterback. But, sorry. Sometimes maybe not everybody can be Tom Brady. So, there's like one Nolan Ryan, there's one Tom Brady. There's like very few of these people that can be 40 and still at the peak. Right. But.
Especially coming off an Achilles injury.
Yeah. Oh, no, that doesn't matter. He, rubbed some Himalayan mud on it and everything's fine. But Jerry Jones looks around the league and all these things happen, but he doesn't really react. And I think in one measure that's good that you don't just react because of what the league is doing, but you see these teams that feel like they're close to something. The Jets, for better or for worse, feel like if they just get the roster the way Aaron wants it, then Aaron will be Aaron again. The Bills knew that they traded away Stephon Diggs because he didn't really want to be there anymore, and that they couldn't really address it in the offseason, but I felt like they were always going to wait around for an opportunity to get like an Amari Cooper. And look, Amari Cooper contributes in the first week. It helped Keon Coleman. It's helped every part of their offense that Amari Cooper is there. It's helped Amari Cooper regain his joy for the game after playing with Deshaun Watson, who's obviously now in rapid decline. All the outside issues notwithstanding, I don't know
he's
if
just a bad football player.
He's just
too,
not.
Yeah.
He's not just. He's lost it. Yeah. He's lost the edge. So, all those have happened. The Cowboys have a gigantic gaping hole at running back. Now the offensive line has not played all that well, but they've got to help out Dak. They really have to help out Dak, and they've done nothing to help him out. Look, they had to let some linemen walk because of that. They drafted young linemen. And I like Cooper Beebe. I like Tyler Guyton. But that doesn't help Dak, who's now in what might be his final contract with the Cowboys, seeing that it'll take him into his mid-30s. How does that help him now? Because they're trying to do it now. The Chiefs just went out and got DeAndre Hopkins because they know they're in a window right now. As great as Mahomes is, they know that everything is finite. And they've got Mahomes, they've got Kelsey, they've got the guys that they want, they've got the quarterback that they want. If they need something, they've had injuries at wide receiver, they got to go get it. The Cowboys, for whatever reason, refuse to do this. And I don't understand. The Eagles went out and got A.J. Brown. They went out and got Jahan Dotson. Now, that one hasn't really worked out for them, but they saw a need, wanted a veteran, and addressed it. I don't know why they think all those teams that have been more successful than them recently, save the Jets, are wrong and they're right. That's what league are they playing in to compare to what league the rest of the teams are playing in?
It's a great question, and it's also strange because they've always been kind of smug about this stuff too. Now they have a pretty staunch belief that you don't build a team through free agency, which I agree with. You got to build teams through the draft. They have a good scouting department led by Will McClay. They've done a nice job through the years, especially in later rounds and with some undrafted free agent signings of finding guys who are good contributors. But it's not one extreme or the other. And Stephen Jones and Jerry Jones have frequently been on the record talking about, we think this is the best way to go. But as you said, Paul, other teams are acquiring players either via trade or by spending money, and they're very smart organizations. This is not like the New England Patriots of old where they would let guys walk and they would do some pretty out there things, but they had the results to back it up. And the Cowboys don't over the past 25 years. Bob Sturm, who's a personality for the Ticket, and he also writes, he wrote an article about Jerry this past week, and one thing that he highlighted was it feels like Jerry Jones wants to be right more than he wants to win.
Yeah.
The worst thing you can have in sports as a fan is owners that don't want to win. And there are owners like that. They're just trying to turn a profit. They're trying to keep costs down. They don't see winning as the ultimate goal. For a long time, and I think even now to a certain extent, people would say Jerry sees winning as the ultimate goal, but I don't think he does. I feel like his ultimate goal is promoting the Cowboys brand and promoting himself. And it's like somebody told him when he was 15 years old that he wasn't a good football mind, and he's still trying to prove Paul.
Yeah.
He's still trying to prove this person wrong.
Yeah.
But it's not like he's putting in the work. It's not like he's out there at the Senior Bowl grinding tape and meeting all these guys. I mean, he's just not that type of dude, but he's still the general manager. And you're in a league with a salary cap, so the only way that you can have an advantage if you're literally the most lucrative franchise in the world, which the Cowboys are, is either spending a lot of money on coaches or having a really big support staff, scouting staff, like trying to be on the cutting edge. And the Cowboys are not those things. Mm-hmm. They're still like in the Stone Ages in some respects on those things. There was an article today on ESPN.com about how there's tours at the Star all the time, right, Paul? I mean, you've seen this. People are just walking through the facility on a weekday. And, you know, ultimately, like, that's not the reason they're losing, but it's the type of, I guess, lack of decorum for the players that you don't see anywhere else.
But here's the thing. Jerry, like most everybody, owner and GM is a separate role.
Yes.
He is both.
Right.
And no man can serve two masters. So while he can delegate a lot of the GM stuff off to Stephen, which he's not even he's the president, so he has also Jerry duties and owner duties. And then Will McClay, who's not the full GM, if you just turn that over to a personnel department completely, extricated yourselves out of it, and set what you wanted the financial vision to be and the goals to be, like that would be that. But he's got to do it his way. Like you said, he's got to be right. And the tours are not the reason. The tours are only frustrating because you see all these people coming in, like, you know, Ben DiNucci even tweeted like people would like tap on the glass, like, you know, like he's supposed to do, like, oh, okay.
Let me get these curls going.
Get these curls going. Like it's weird. You don't have that anywhere else. I'm surprised that they don't have that anywhere else because I was sure there'd be owners who would want to make the money on it.
Right.
But Jerry is all about the spectacle and, you know, accessibility and all these different things that you can do. And people pay to have tours of the Star. And they now you could have a tour of the Star when the Cowboys aren't there, and that's when you can have them. But then again, you can't charge as much for that ticket because I might see Zeke Elliott today. Like, that's the thing. And, you know, you can't talk to the players. You can't do that. Like, you might be able to take some pictures, but it's very strange. I've been there and, like, seen a tour group and, like, oh, look, here's the players going to lunch right now. And you're like, yeah, can you guys not? Because we got, like, 5 more minutes with them before they go to lunch. And, you know, we really need to get this
concept down.
This Jason Witten interview, like, done. Like, I've been there, like, oh, great. Like, you know, so – you know, like he's here, but like now the tour is like out here waiting, and then maybe they've been promised that like, hey, Jason Witten's going to come to a photo op, and like it's, you know, whatever is going on there. And I don't think that's the reason, but it also is one of the things that when you're not constantly winning, probably is a drain on you.
Yes,
where you're like, oh look, here's a bunch of people from Iowa that came on a trip and they've decided to come here. Hi, you know, I just want to go, you know.
Yeah, I mean, when you're losing, like, you want to insulate. You want to be like, all right, we're the people here. We got to figure this out. Like, cut out everything else.
We also don't want to look like a jerk, right?
Yes.
Like, because the last thing you want to do is, like, you know, you're frustrated or, like, work is hard for everybody, right? Mm-hmm. So you don't want to be at work and then just, like, blow off some fans and then, you know, all of a sudden, like, you know, Stephen A. Smith's going, this is horrible. Watch Cowboy safety J-Rod Kearse yell that he ain't taking a picture for somebody.
Right.
Well, Shannon Sharp, what do you think about this?
The bizarre thing, too, is they've had so many of these, what you would call, like, wake-up calls for the organization. I mean, we talked about last week, they just got embarrassed by a former player in Dan Campbell and the Detroit Lions at home in an opportunity for them to, you know, get to 4-2 on the year and kind of make a statement. And you can go down the list. I mean, they had all the years with Romo where they would lose last game of the season, miss the playoffs. They got destroyed by the Eagles one year in a kind of win or go home type playoff situation. They've had the playoff failures. And Jerry has to talk after all these things because he hosts a little media scrum each and every week, which he's also the only person in that position that does that, but that's a whole nother conversation. But you would think, Paul, in all these like public humiliations that this man has gone through, at some point he would kind of evaluate and be like, well, maybe I should go a different route. And like, also if he I guess he's just afraid of giving up the credit. But if he handed over the reins to a GM, he would take some pressure off of himself.
Yeah.
Because then it would be that person's responsibility to make the personnel moves.
Yeah.
And so if that person decides, no, I think we're going to be fine at running back with Rico Dwaddle and doing a reunion with Zeke Elliott, who's over the hill and can't contribute anymore, well, then you blame that person.
Yeah.
You don't blame yourself. And then you don't have to take these questions from the radio hosts that you're threatening to fire, because you can just kind of pass it off on, well, we're trusting our general manager to make these decisions, and they're the football people, and I stay out of that part of it, and I just want to give us the best resources to win. Like, you could alleviate so much criticism if you would just take a step back and focus on what you're good at, which is the business stuff.
Yeah.
Like, he's maintained an incredible amount of interest in a franchise that is mediocre.
Yeah.
If, like, we talked about the Lions, nobody talks about them until the last few years because they were bad. So, like, if the Cowboys are bad, they still get talked about every week because it moves the needle, because they're still relevant because of what he's done. But he can't put a team together that matches the aura of it.
And I'm surprised he hasn't noticed the feeling of the Super Bowls to compare. Not like, you really want to be talked about? Mm-hmm. Go win.
Yeah, go win.
Go take down Mahomes.
Right.
You'll be America's team again. I promise you that. But they're not now.
Documentaries about you and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
And
you won't have to make documentaries about yourself.
Right.
I can tell you, there is nothing sadder than making a documentary about yourself. Like, somebody needs to come in and say, we're going to make a documentary about you. Mm-hmm. You don't need to be like, hey, let's make a documentary about me.
What an eye-opening thing to me with this topic. What was the Amazon Prime series? Was it like All In or All Access? They follow the Cowboys for a season, right? It's kind of Hard Knock style, behind-the-scenes stuff. And you always heard about Jerry meddling with coaching decisions. But you sort of take it at face value. Like, people don't always know what's going on. And, like, one of the very first scenes, they're having a coaching meeting. Like, not even like a big picture, like, goals for the year. We're talking strategy for the week. And Jerry's sitting there next to Jason Garrett, like, leading the meeting. And it's just like, wait, this is real. Like, he's not hiring people and empowering them to do their job. He's just sitting next to them, holding their hand and making sure they're doing what he wants them to do.
Jocks to socks.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still that way. When we come back, the wheel. This is the triple option.
Fantasy Sports EVO, the next evolution of daily fantasy sports. Tired of traditional fantasy sports where you spend hours upon hours studying individual players? EVO's unique team-based platform makes it easier than ever for all sports fans to play. No need to know individual players. Just choose your contest, select your teams, and enjoy the game. Whether you access our website from a desktop, mobile device, or the app, the experience is the same. EVO is for all sports fans. Join Fantasy Sports EVO and experience the evolution.
This is 365 Sports, powered by Sikkim365.com. Welcome to the Triple Option. Here's your host, Paul Catalina.
Welcome back to the Triple Option on 365 Sports. I'm Paul Catalina alongside Stephen Simcox, and it is time for the Wednesday Wheel of Whimsy, and this is Celebrity Stadium Names.
Yes, this was inspired by last night, and you guys are having Casey Keeler on the show today, right?
Yep.
So
and our guy, Kavion Gaither, made a big interception in the game. Yeah.
He did. Cats,
Connolly.
Sam Houston, they go into Pitbull Stadium, played FIU last night. They won. They're bowl eligible. And it was named this year Pitbull Stadium in honor of the rapper Pitbull.
Dolly.
I don't know if he's an FIU alum or if he's just
he's Miami.
Okay. He's just Miami.
Mr. Miami.
He's just Mr. Miami.
Yeah.
On Miami Vice night.
Yeah.
They lost to Sam Houston.
Yeah.
But it made me think, if we're going to give naming rights to celebrities, who would some of those people be? So we got schools and celebrities here.
Okay.
Ball State.
Ball State, Letterman Stadium.
David Letterman Stadium.
His name, my niece, goes to Ball State.
Oh, really?
Yes, she goes to Ball State and the Letterman School of Communications, of which she's a photography major. That's her school, and she didn't really realize who that was. And I was like, it's David Letterman. He's like one of the most famous comedians of all time. I would take David Letterman Stadium at Ball State, for sure.
She didn't know who David Letterman was?
Not really. I mean, she kind of got it from like walking through the halls where there's like pictures of him, but she's like, I don't know anything about him.
That's crazy.
Oh, golly.
Yeah, I don't even know who else would be there. I think Jason Whitlock went to Ball State, but
David Letterman's way better.
That's a can of worms.
Yeah, David Letterman's way better. Yeah, no.
Ball State, David Letterman Stadium.
Yeah.
Also, our good friend, so at Radio Row one year, which is, it's just a lot of people. Mm-hmm. And Paul, it's active all day long.
Yes.
So our friends Q and Ward were there in the morning, and they interviewed Mike Golick Jr. and another man whose name I forgot. And Mike Golick Jr. at the time was not, I think he was still doing like the pregame to Mike and Mike, he was on at 4 a.m. And
Ward didn't know who he was.
Ward didn't know who he was. And he mentioned, I guess he did a quick Google search and got the wrong name and said, hey, you went to Ball State.
With Notre Dame. But
Joe went to Notre Dame.
Yeah.
And it was pretty awkward. And that tape did not make the air. That interview got burned.
As bad of anything as I've ever seen in my life. And Q was ready to kill him. Yeah,
that was a rough scene. And I was still a young producer at the time. And so I was like just really laser focused on doing my job. So we got done and I was editing and I'm getting this thing queued up. And Q was like, that's never seen the light of day.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, really? He's like, yeah, never put that in the trash. Never play that.
Yeah. No, it was bad. It was bad.
Yeah.
And every time I've seen Mike Golick Jr. since then, he can't place me, but he knows that when he met me, something weird happened. And that I had to apologize. Like, he can't quite do it. Like, hey, Mike, Paul Catalina. Oh, yeah. He pretends like he remembers me. But then I can see it in his head like, I met this guy under very strange circumstances. I know he wasn't the problem, but I know he was there.
It's like repressed trauma. You're like a ghost from Christmas past.
Yeah, it's like, this was weird. And honestly, it was disrespectful. And
it was, yeah.
Yeah. They did just kind of show up.
They did. It's a tough situation,
But yeah. But once a bad thing like that happens and the cat's out of the bag, you can't
bring it back.
Yeah. No. It was bad. All right, here we go. USC. They play at the legendary LA Coliseum. And by legendary, I mean old. Like, that's one thing they need to, throw a couple coats of paint on. Maybe do some things with. You say Snoop Dogg Stadium.
Snoop Dogg Stadium.
I'm pushing back.
Okay.
Snoop Dogg, not an alum, although he's probably the most famous USC fan. Mm-hmm. I'm going to name it Will Ferrell Stadium. Will Ferrell is an actual, look, okay, maybe even better, George Lucas Stadium. Steven Spielberg Stadium.
Yeah, USC's got a deep
They've got a deep roster
of Hollywood people.
Yeah, that went there. But Snoop Dogg in the same vein of like Pitbull and FIU, yes, but Snoop Dogg didn't go to USC. I would maybe, if I'm USC, have more of an alum flavor to it, right? So I'm gonna say, let's name it after George Lucas or Steven Spielberg.
In fairness, Snoop Dogg also seems like a guy who just kind of jumps to whatever team shows him love,
or he's friends with a guy,
yeah,
right? He's friends with a lot of people. So
yeah. So he's not as committed to USC as like a Will Ferrell is.
Yeah. No, Will Ferrell is, he's deep in it.
Yeah. Here we go.
Okay.
Ohio State.
You say LeBron James.
LeBron James Stadium.
No.
LeBron James Stadium.
No.
He said that's where he would go to school, Paul, if you played basketball in college.
He didn't go to school there. He didn't go to school there. So the basketball stadium or the football stadium should be named after him. Oh gosh. Let me do a little quick
Google on Ohio State celebrities. I mean, there's plenty of football players that you could name it after. You could name it Archie Griffin Stadium.
Okay. famous Ohio State alumni.
Honestly, Kirk Herbstreit's made a great career himself, but he's kind of polarizing.
Oh, look, this one's no-brainer. Jesse Owens Stadium.
Oh, yeah, that's a better one.
Jesse Owens Stadium. I mean, there's no one else. By the way, in this article from the Columbus Dispatch, Urban Meyer is also listed right underneath Jesse Owens. Urban Meyer, who's on a show that has stolen the name of this one. So I'm going to really lean into this. Yes, I know he won a national championship there. Mm. I get that. But to put him in the article right below Jesse Owens, maybe the most important athlete of the 20th century in a lot of regards, for what he did and how he fought through it and where he did it and who he did it in front of.
There's a little bit of difference in character there.
Yeah, a little difference than, being a black athlete that dominated the Olympics in front of Hitler, who didn't think you deserved to live. Then I'm just really good at coaching football. So, also Jack Nicklaus, R.L. Stein, famous
bumps, yeah.
Richard Lewis, the late Richard Lewis, a comedian. All these I would rather have than the name of the stadium than Urban Meyer. Let's see. Alan Freed, famous DJ. Bobby Knight was there, but George Steinbrenner. Patricia Heaton of Everybody Loves Raymond. No wonder I hate Ohio State. Is it Gary LaVox or Laveau that's the lead singer of Rascal Flatts?
Oh.
Ohio State grad. Well, that does it. I'm never pulling for you for anything.
Life is a highway.
Just canceled out Jesse Owens for me. When my wife and I first got together, we were in the car listening to the 80 station, and Life's the Highway came on, and it's the first time she had heard the non-Rascal Flatts, or maybe it was the 90s, whatever it was, but late 80s, early 90s. When that song came out, she was like, oh, I thought this was Rascal Flatts. And I was like, we are not going to make it.
Take it back. Arizona State. Jimmy Kimmel.
Yes, I'm all for it. He sponsored a bowl game. Kimmel Stadium works. I like Kimmel Stadium. I like that. Although, to mess with him, they should name it Matt Damon Stadium.
That'd be funny.
If anybody's ever watched that show, it's the longest running joke in the history of television. But they've managed to make it better each and every time.
Keeps bumping Matt Damon.
It's never been a guest on the show. There was one time when he was in what was the movie they did about the World War II people who were saving the art? Bill Murray and George Clooney and John Goodman were all in it.
Oh, yeah, I can't think of the
name.
name.
So anyway, they were all there in the cast, and they all had nice, comfortable chairs, and he made them sit on a little tiny stool. The Monuments Men. Thank you. Yeah, Monuments Men. He made Matt sit all the way at the end, and then they just asked disparaging questions about Matt the whole time. That's how they promoted the movie.
Yeah. It's turned into a great, almost universe in some ways. Just him, his beef with Matt Damon.
Yeah, yeah. All right, here we go. Baylor, Magnolia Stadium. I don't think there's any other way around this. If our whole city is promoted through Magnolia, you might as well lean into it.
Just put some shiplap up in there, baby.
Exactly. Yeah. The ship, just all around the sides and make that, put a whole bunch of fancy old school looking clocks and, some new backsplash.
Do you have beef with Jeff Dunham because he's a ventriloquist, or do you think he's funny?
I mean, he's not my thing, but no, I don't have beef with him.
Okay.
No, I mean,
he's not my thing either. But
it's not my thing.
I didn't know what you thought as an actual comedian.
No, I'm thrilled that a comedian can make that much money. So no, good for him. Again, anybody who does stand up, I'm behind you,
right?
Because it's a really difficult thing to do. I just admit that there are certain things that just aren't my thing, and I've laughed at some of his stuff. It's just, ventriloquism.
Come on,
it's not vaudeville.
Yeah,
So. Oh, no, absolutely not. It should not be Paul Catalina.
Paul
Stadium.
Catalina Stadium. Come on.
No. Burt Reynolds needs everything. There's not enough stuff at FSU that's named after Burt Reynolds. I would name everything
After Burt.
after Burt. The most famous person to ever attend Florida State University.
I'm going to start
Even more so than Deion Sanders.
I'm going to start a change.org petition to get your name on the stadium, Paul. I don't know how many signatures we'll get, but we're going to give it a go.
Not many. There was a push recently to pull Doak Campbell's name off the stadium because he was the university president that built the stadium when it was first built because he was not really a huge proponent of desegregation. I wouldn't say he was an opponent of it, but he was not
speaking out.
He was not on the fort. Like he was like, whatever happens, happens. Leave me out of it.
Yeah, pretty passive about
it. I'll do whatever the people say, but I'm not about to in North Florida in the 60s or 50s go, we need to do this. And that was kind of his position was he was just gonna let it happen. And I don't think that's fair to take his name off the stadium for that. But if you just wanted to name it after Bobby Bowden, like it's Bobby Bowden Field at Doak Campbell Stadium, which I'm fine with. I would rather just call it Bobby Bowden Field. Like that's what I'd rather it be. But if you're naming it after a celebrity, then it's got to be Burt. It's got to be Burt Reynolds. And then you have like the Lee Corso weight facility.
Yeah, Burt's greatness. That makes sense.
Oklahoma for Toby Keith. Yeah, I'm okay with this. I watched the tribute concert that they did to him recently, and I'm a pretty solid Toby Keith fan. Although like his more popish stuff I don't like. But
right.
Like when he did like a real country song, it was a country song. So yeah, I'm fine with this one.
Do it now, Oklahoma. Change the vibes.
Yeah. Kansas State. And this is probably the last one we'll do.
So Eric Stone Street's probably the most famous celebrity from there.
Yeah, let me see if there's anybody who could compete with him. Eric Stone, he would love it. I mean, he's a huge fan,
Yeah.
So Cam from Modern Family, famous K-State alums. Let's see if there's anybody who's more famous.
Besides Bill Snyder, obviously.
Alumni. Famous Kansas State alumni. Look. I mean, they've got some impressive people.
Like politically?
Yeah, like they've got really impressive people. But let's see.
But fame-wise,
I mean, there's a ton of NFL players. NBA guys, let's skip all that.
Jordy Nelson.
Yeah.
Jordy Nelson Stadium. The Packer fan screams from the gallery.
Okay, so in his world of entertainment, the next step would be Kirstie Alley. So no, I definitely think it's him. Or the actual Aaron Brockovich. Not Julie Roberts, but the actual Aaron Brockovich is a K-State alum.
Okay.
So, all right, let's do one more. We've got time for one more.
All right.
Yeah, I think McConaughey's look, he's essentially marked at his territory anyway.
Minister of Culture.
Yeah, he's the Minister of Culture. It can't be not Daryl K. Royal, but if you're going to name it, if you're going to do a corporate sponsorship, if you're going to do a corporate sponsorship like this, then it would have to be him.
Glenn Powell's chasing him, though.
Yeah, Glenn Powell's
He's running right after him.
New McConaughey?
Yep.
Yeah, he's he's doing movies with Richard Linklater, Hitman, which is really good.
It was good, yep.
Yeah. I mean, he's doing, Glenn Powell's chasing him. He's doing these romantic comedies with the hot girl of the minute. Like, he's certainly stealing all McConaughey's moves. It's fine. Like, Matthew's not mad about it.
No, he's not. He's just running the playbook.
Yeah. But you're the next dude from Austin.
Go for it.
I think he lives there. I don't think he,
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, he lives in Austin. He's not, that's not a hard thing to do for Hollywood anymore. But, when Matthew McConaughey did it originally, like him and Sandra Bullock's like, ooh, they're living in Austin. Wow, neat. Now it's
old hat.
They're one of many. So, Stephen, thank you very much.
Thank you, Paul.
TCU Tech this weekend. Does TCU win this game?
Yes, they do.
Okay. All right. Well, that's going to inform my pick 'em. I'm 2 games behind Craig, chasing him for the lead. Today, we've got Sam Houston State coach Casey Keeler off their big win last night. They are bowl eligible after their 2-year wait period, so they are going to go to a bowl game. So congrats to Sam Houston State. We got Mike Craven of Texas football, and we have Zach Gelb on the show today, and Kendall Kaut from Big 12 Media Days will join us as well. That's all coming up this afternoon on the main show. This is the Triple Option on 365 Sports.
This is 365 Sports, powered by SicEm365.com.